Good evening and welcome to the Whiskey Lover Society with me, Gert Retief. And tonight we are looking at a American bourbon. It is the Woodford Reserve Distiller Select. It is, of course, a Kentucky Straight Bourbon. This is batch number 0467, made from 72% corn. It's got 18% rye and 10% malted barley. It is bottled at 43.2% ABV, and the cost here in Belgium is around 35 euros. So this is something that I have actually tried 3 or 4 years ago for the first time. And if memory serves me correct, I did love the nose, but again, it was a little bit strange for me, being a Scotch drinker. It was a little bit strange for me on the taste. So after so many years, I did manage to find a sample of this one, and I'm going to review it today. So first of all, the color. I do like the color. I bought about 22, 23 samples a couple of weeks ago. And I'm slowly going through all the samples. And this morning I decided I'm going to pick the one that is the darkest in the box. So this one came up immediately. It stood out for quite a dark whiskey. So it is a nice, dark, rich copper color. And it reminded me, on the looks, it reminded me immediately of a sherry cask Scotch. But of course, we can't judge a book by the cover. So this one reminded me sherry, but of course, definitely not a sherry cask influence coming close to this one. So on the nose, on the Woodford Reserve Distillers Select, cheers. Now, that I do remember is the lovely nose on it. I think this is one of the whiskies, and I've seen quite a number of bourbons. It's got this fantastic promise on the nose and not always delivering on the taste. Now, I must also admit that I'm not a big fan of some of the bourbons, but also the ones that I've tried, of course, most of them are entry level, so I haven't had the high-end stuff yet. So maybe in the future I will actually get a sample of something that is a little bit more high-proofed, maybe a little bit more on the expensive side. Very difficult to find some good, decent bourbons in Belgium or in Europe for that matter. But we have to start somewhere. So on the nose for me, it's lovely sweet. It promised me a boatload of sweetness on the taste. I do get quite a lot of the caramel notes coming out. It's got this rich, dark aromas to it. Definitely, you're not going to mistake this for a sherry cask influence. You do get the corn. You do get that hint of the rye, completely different from a Scotch whiskey. Alcohol-wise, it's 43.2% ABV. I don't really get a lot of the alcohol notes. So quite pleasant on the nose with regards to the alcohol as well. I do get quite a lot of vanilla on it. A little bit of a cinnamon note. And I also, not every time, but every couple of times when I just get close to the glass, I get a hint of a orange rind, but it's a little bit caramelized or sugar added to it, so a sweet orange note on it. I also get a hint, a little bit of a minty note to it. It reminds me a little bit of a chocolate mint type of chocolate, the choc mint that we have. A little Aero choc mint, quite similar to that, but not so much mint. It is just a hint of the mint, but the sweetness is unbelievable on this one. So for me on the nose, I can smell it for hours. It is really nice. It's right. That mintiness, it do gets to get into the system, into your nose, that little hint of a mint. You also get a little bit of a plant, the choc mint plant, something I think similar to the basil, but one that's got a little chocolate mint flavor to it. So this one is definitely something like that. Love the nose. But of course we need to drink it as well. So on the taste, cheers. Definitely a bourbon. You get that corn notes immediately. And some people that have seen my previous videos, my first experience was with a bourbon was a Jim Beam. Oh my word, it is terrible. So I always try to think back to that, and now I do get a little bit more better type of whiskies. So definitely a bourbon. The core notes are there. I do get a hint of a sweetness. So from the nose to the taste, definitely didn't correspond. The sweetness on the nose was much higher, but there is still a sweetness on the taste, and a little bit of a burnt caramel type of taste on it. It also goes into a little bit of a spice, a little bit of a pepper spice coming out. The alcohol feels a bit young for me. So you get that little spicy pepper alcohol hit of it. Not unpleasant on the second sip. Let me just try again. It's quite nice. The only concern on the third sip that I took, there was definitely a build-up of the oaky tannins. So there's quite a lot of bitterness coming out. But yet, it's not overpowering at this moment. But also keep in mind, I'm taking very small sips, so I'm not flooding the system with loads and loads of this notes. I think if you take big gulps of this one, it's definitely going to be quite oaky. So I don't want to try it. Well, maybe I can just give it a little bit more. Oaky, definitely. There's a lot of oak coming out now. If you coat your whole mouth, it definitely it tells you that there's quite a lot of oak in it, a lot of bitter notes coming out, dark chocolate, espresso notes coming out. That burnt caramel is definitely there, and now a hint of a sweetness as well. Maybe a little bit of a toffee note as well. So from the nose to the taste, it did not correspond well for me. Still like it. But it's not something that I will grab every day. Maybe just as something just to reset the palate from the scotches, maybe to try something new, to teach your palate or your taste buds a little different type of taste. I will pull this one out, give it a try, and also maybe share it with my friends. So on the finish, now I get loads of oranges coming out. Maybe a little bit of a hint of a tangerine. Oh, that is really nice. I wish I could take the nose and I can put everything on the nose. I can put it in the taste. I think that will be the perfect whiskey for me. So the finish. So I have a hint of a sweetness. It goes into a burnt caramel for me. A little bit of a pepper spices coming out. The heat and the youngness of the youthfulness of the alcohol. And then I get quite a load of bitter notes that maybe like something like an espresso, a dark espresso. And that just quite short actually, not a long finish for me at all. So my final thoughts, I think I love the nose. I do like the taste, but it can be so much better. So that's me on the Woodford Reserve. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, or dislike and subscribe, but leave a comment. Give me some pointers what you would like to see in the future. Maybe you can also tell me a little bit of a different Woodford Reserve that you might suggest that will be more for my palate. So thank you very much, and I see you next time. Cheers.